Today we will be discussing motivation. So we will start with a quote. Motivation is a process whereby a goal-directed activity is instigated and sustained by Shank, Pentridge, and Mies in 2008. What is motivation? Motivation is an inner drive that causes you to do something and persevere at something. So motivation is the desire to act in service of a goal. Motivation is derived from the word motive, which denotes a person's needs, desire, wants to take action to achieve a goal. According to the book, when we get motivated, dili enough na magbuhat lang ka ana, dapat attracted pud kasi mong ginabuhat so that that is what if we are attracted to what we are doing, that is what we call intensity of the motivation. So learners' motivation is the primary factor influencing both performance and success in school. So, motivation is the primary factor influencing both. So, if motivated ang learner, muna siya ang mag-help sa ila para mag-result of good performance inside the classroom of mga extracurricular. So, indicators of high level of motivation. So, if a student now is motivated, they have the following characteristics. First is have positive attitude towards school and describe school as satisfying. So, if ang learner daw is motivated, syempre, naroon na sila positive attitude inside the classroom. So, na-describe po nila ang school as satisfying when they go out. And then, persist on difficult tasks and cause few management problems, process information in depth, and excel in classroom learning. So, if motivated ang isa ka bata or a learner, gusto nila na mag-excel pa. So, they wanted to do like more difficult tasks, then it will help them na, or pag motivated ka, they will be like, want to learn more or deeper informations and excel in learning expertise like mga performance tasks and extracurricular. So now, we will be moving to the types of motivation. So, the types of motivation is the intrinsic and extrinsic motivation. Intrinsic motivation is when the source of motivation is from within the person, him or herself, or the activity itself. For example, magbasa og mga pocket books kay ma-feel mo na enjoyable siya, like magbasa ka, so motivated ka na humanon kay feel mo na ma-enjoy mo ang story. Then motivation na extrinsic is when which motivates a person is someone or something outside him or her. Like for example, istoryahan kasi mong teacher na kailangan niyo magbasa ani nga lesson kay ug discuss nato ni, so we'll be having like oral recitation or individual grading recitation ana. So the last one is the role of extrinsic motivation. Extrinsic motivation is necessary to develop the love for learning among poorly motivated students. So kung ma-feel mo nga naa pa ka sa extrinsic motivation, as time goes by, dapat ma-develop nimo imong love of learning or sa kana nga subject to develop it into intrinsic motivation. So, if good grades, rewards, praises, or words of encouragement or fear of failing grade can motivate unmotivated students to study, why not daw nga dili buhaton like kanang dili siya kanang threat, pero kanang murag hadlokon nimo gamay na pag dili ka mag-study, dili ka makapasar, like nanimo for the example sa extrinsic motivation na kailangan nimo nabasahon nga topic para na kay ma-answer tomorrow, like quiz ba or oral recitation para ma-motivate siya nga mag-study para dili siya mabagsak sa iyahang kana nga subject. And that's all.
Okay, so now, mag-proceed sa theories on factors affecting motivation. I will be discussing the first and the second one, in which ang first one, i-propose to siya kay Bernard Wiener, in which this theory explains on kung asa na to gina-credit or gina-attribute ang success or failures or other events sa atong life to several factors. And to understand further, I will explain the three ways or the three attributions. Number one is the locus or the place. In a situation, you have a student na siya good grade, and that particular student, gina credit niya tungod sa ability or tungod sa hard work. Then it is called the internal factor. However, if na student na nag-ingon siya na, or like the cause of his good grades kay tungod sa mga effective teaching or tungod sa facilities in yung school, then it is called the external. Kumbaga, ang first situation din, credit niya na iyang good grades internally within his or herself, while ang isa ka situation is gina-credit niya or gina-attribute niya ay yung good grades sa gawas na sa iya, so external. Next is the stability. The situation is having a poor performance. Ang kaning first student is, let's say, in a situation na student na bad performance dyan siya, like di dyan siya magtarong, it's because one factor of that is tungod sa namana sa parents, na dyan silang genes, dili na dyan mabago, anak na dyan ang batasan, then it is called stable. However, if you have having a bad performance, and then ang cause nito is sige hagtang TV, sige dula, it is called unstable. Nga na maka-stable ang isang unstable. The first situation, kaya dili naman gudi mo mabago. Dili naman mo mabago kung unsa ang na-gene sa mong parents, pero gug sakit. Like, sa itong mga lola-lola, or like sa mga auntie-auntie, auntie-uncle, na sila high blood, so like, masunod sa mga, napod kay high blood, more dili na nimo na mabago. However, if naa naman po chance na pwede nimo mabago, so why not, diba? So, mo na ginatawag kong stable versus unstable. And then the third one is the controllability. In which, where gina-claim sa imong student na siya ay poor academic performance due sa ineffective teaching sa teacher. So, that explains that iyang gina-credit or gina-attribute iyang bad performance beyond his control. Moto ang controllable na factor. However, if gi-admit sa mong student na his or her having a bad performance tungod kay actually mga poor study habits or like low iyang motivation, then that is what we call the uncontrollable factors, in which pwede mo naman siya makontrol. So like literal lang siya na meaning na makontrol yung situation. I mean, uncontrollable is like beyond your control. Mo lang na yung timanan. Kumbaga, you are performing or you're having this particular attribute or attitude kay tungod dili naman pud nimo to kaya nimo mabago ana. However, if otherwise pwede naman pud nimo makontrol imong sarili. So at sa may connection sa attribution to motivation. As a future teacher, ato ning ma-imply or ato ning ma-apply sa atong students to know if asa nila gina-attribute or gina-credit ang ilang success or failure silang life, in which dito po na ito ma-determine kung motivated ba sila. Pag na ito makabalo na motivated na sila, makaingon ta if ang student is like gina-attribute niya yung success or failure if it is within his or her control, or it is something unstable, or it is mabago, ma-change, then most likely motivated ang isa ka person. So kabaliktaran ana, dili motivated ang student. So na I saying something interesting na people tend to attribute their successes to internal causes and their failures to external causes. So which is mo to ang reality no na like if naisa mag-success, naisa na maangat kay or i-credit dayon or ipagmalaki dayon na tungod man sa akong hard work, tungod sa akong abilidad, kay kaya na ko ni blah blah blah. However, if natin mga failure or na idealist na yung mga malas sa doa kay ato dayon sa pasanginlan na tungod mo na sa iya ha kung ano ko na ani tungod man siya like mga good daghang reasons kung ano ta fail na fail. So sa school kung ang students nimo for example ilang gina-attribute ilang failures sa poor teaching sa teacher, sa boring topics, sa poor tests. So ang result na ang ilang poor academic performance is everyone's fault except the student. The next theory is called the self-efficacy theory, in which it is a sense of high self-efficacy or high sense of competence. It is a belief na it is a necessary put capabilities to perform a task, to fulfill role expectations, or to meet a challenging situation successfully. So I will give also the examples in order for us to understand. Pero before that, let me tell you that this is the secret to enhance the intrinsic motivation sa students nato, ang self-efficacy. Kaya kung yung mga estudyante, mutuo sila na naa sila ability to perform this thing, like, or to perform this particular activity, they are more likely intrinsically motivated to do such learning activities. Mo to naka-state there sa libro, no? So, yeah, mag-proceed na test sa strategies on how to enhance our self-efficacy. So, first one is to make sure students master the basic skills. Of course, okay? Kung dili na to ma-master ang basic skills like reading, writing, dili na to maka-proceed sa higher level of activities. O ang imong students, dili po sila maka, like listen po, diba, mo diretso ka diri, wala kayo mga basic skills. Siyempre, mabalibad po na imong students. And then, the next one is help them make noticeable progress on difficult tasks. So, more good na ka ng naigipahimo sa imuha, pero wala ko yung appreciate, wala yung nag-appreciate, wala yung naka-appreciate sa imuha, wag sakit man good. So, like, males yung motivation on making this thing kay grabe man akong hard work kaani pero wala man po yung wala yung makakita, wala yung mapansin. So malesen ang motivation sa isang katao. So it is important na ma-acknowledge ba, yeah, that's the word, ma-acknowledge na to kung unsa ang progress excuse me, or success sa isa ka person, not only to our students but also to other people. Kay life sad kaayo no, grabe mong effort sa isa ka mo nang ginaingon na grabe mong effort sa isa ka bagay pero murag wala lang. Yeah, so next is the communicate confidence in students' abilities through words and actions. Okay, so iwasan na to no moingon na like kani manggani na buhat ni mo ning lisod ng butang gahapon, how much more karon na easy dapat makabalo pud ka ani. No, iwasan na to ng mga ana na situation kay murag kasi tawag ba na word stereotype or like basta parang generalize na nimo ba na kaya man nimo, so kaya po din mo buhaton, like kumbaga let's express confidence atong students na kaya nila mabuhat ang isa ka butang. Dili ana ang pag-motivate sa isa ka student where gina compare gapon nimo may pag-motivate na mo sila tarong. So, the last is expose them to successful peers. So, being with successful peers, your students will inhale success and get energized to succeed as well. So, mo na ginaingon nun na infectious ang makatakod ang success, same way ang failure. So, both sila contagious. So, asa makamupili, magpatakod ka sa success or patakod ka sa failure? So, let your students expose sa mga successful na peers. Only you as yourself also. So naapa do diri other recommendations, no, some strategies na pang-motivate. So ako lang ning pamove on. Is that there is like competence promoting feedback. As we always say, feedback. Not just always present to the feedback. Next is promote master and challenging task. And this caught my attention to promote self-comparison rather than comparison with others. So there is this saying that if you compare yourself with others, you will become vain and bitter. For always there will be greater and lesser persons than yourself. So instead, na ma-motivate sila, i-compare na lang to help them motivate. Let us not compare them with others. Kay mo na usahay po ng parents na na-adjust situations na i-compare ang ilang anak sa laing bata, anak. So, na-adjust chance na dili na po malesan po ang motivation sa bata. Kaya instead, na mo siyang i-motivate in a way na ma-challenge siya, dili na noon kaysa laing tao man mo siya i-compare. So, why not? Siyang self-worth gihapon. Para like, ma-see niya as competitor or enemy ang self. Kay mo ma dyan in the first place na our greatest enemy is ourself. Wow. So, yeah. And, ingon po din na students are more likely to be intrinsically motivated if they believe na they can determine their learning goals and regulate their learning. So yeah, I think that's all for self-efficacy, efficacy, and attribution theory.
So on Maslow's hierarchy of needs, there are 5 of them. First one would be physiological needs. Physiological needs are the survival needs such as water, food, and shelter. So as a teacher, make sure that your students doesn't have an empty stomach so that they'll be able to focus on your lesson instead of imagining or thinking about their tummies. Second would be safety. So safety needs are the environment itself, the classroom specifically. So the classroom should be free from any bullies or discrimination so that the students would be highly motivated to learn. Third would be love and belongingness. So the students should feel that they belong to the classroom as well as they have friends which they can rely. And fourth would be self-esteem. So once the students has done something or is in progress in doing something, make sure to provide them compliments so that they'll be motivated in learning. And lastly, self-actualization. That is when the students realize or the teacher realize that they're doing their full potential on something. So once you can see that the students are doing something, make sure to provide them feedback what they're doing. If it needs to have an advice, you can give them guidance as well, and make sure to appreciate their effort. So those are the Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And on top of that, next would be the goal theory. Goal theory, it has 2 types of goal theory in learning. First one would be learning goal. So learning goal is when the students would like to master a skill or something. So that is the learning goal. And the second one would be performance goal. That is when the students would like just would like to do better than the other students. So which means that the student itself don't need to master the skill itself. They would just like to do it better than the other students. So that is again goal theory. There are 2 types of goal theory in learning. First one would be learning goal. Second one would be performance goal. And next would be the self-determined goal and goal setting. Self-determined goal are the goal that is set by the students itself. For example, you have provided, as a teacher, you provided lesson objectives to the students. So the student itself would relate that specific lesson objectives to their own life so that it will be easier for them to understand the objectives, and as well as they'll be highly motivated because it is related to their life. So that is one way to set the self-determined goals. And next one would be goal settings. Goal setting, that would be when the students would like to set a goal, or the teacher itself can set a goal for the student so they can achieve it by doing it step by step. So first, when you set a goal for the student, make sure that the goal has been accepted by the students, which means the goal should be understood by the student and as well as it would be attainable. Second would be the goal should be specific. So when it comes to that, make sure that it is precise. The goal should be understood, it should be specific and precise. And third would be the goal should be challenging. So the student should be challenged to the goal itself, because if not, they wouldn't be motivated. Because if they can just do something easy, they won't need their effort to be that hard so they can achieve that specific goal. So make sure that the goal is challenging. And lastly, there is the performance monitoring and as well as performance feedback. For your performance monitoring, that is, the students can do that as well. They can monitor their progress, or the teacher itself can monitor the progress of the students. So once you have monitored the progress, make sure that you provide performance feedback. You should provide the students compliments or any guidance if they have already achieved their goal. Make sure to appreciate that they have achieved that specific goal that you have set.
I will be tackling about self-determination theory. From the word itself, self-determination, which means that you have to be self-determined in order to create a motivation for yourself. Humans have three basic needs. This theory suggests that the humans have three basic needs: autonomy, competence, and relatedness. This means that autonomy, the meaning of being able to control one's lives; relatedness, being able to relate and be affectionate, close to relationship with others; and competence, being able to understand the specific things in your environment. Which means that in this kind of theory, you will be able to create motivation because you have the ability to control your own decisions, ability to willingly choose what motivates you and what don't. That's self-determination theory. Next, I will be tackling about the choice theory by William Glasser. Choice theory states humans are motivated by a never-ending quest to satisfy five basic needs woven into our genes: to love and belong, to be powerful, to be free, to have fun, and to survive. This means that in choice theory, we are satisfying the results of our own choices: the ability to be loved, to be belong, to be powerful, to be free, and to have fun and survive. These theories have specifically survival, belonging, power, freedom, and fun. These specific things are what close behind the meaning of choice theory, which means that these choices that we make should satisfy our survival, our ability to be belong, our ability to have power, our freedom, and to have fun. Although this has its pros and cons, William Glasser suggested that this choice theory have 7 caring habits: that being able to be supporting, encouraging, listening, accepting, trusting, respecting, and negotiating differences. Although it also has 7 deadly habits: criticizing, blaming, complaining, nagging, threatening, punishing, bribing, or rewarding to control. Which means that choice theory have its own positive and negative aspects. Although if you have the ability to be able to control these choices into your own hands, that will uphold the specific quest to satisfy your 5 basic needs, which is the survival, belonging, power, freedom, and fun, it would be a good sign to create and choose this choice theory in order to motivate yourself.
Now I want you to open your books on page 237. First, let me ask you a question. What is your motivation in studying? Like, unsay mong inspiration nga no magtarong ka og eskwela? Naiuban di ba nga ang motivation kay para makaahon sa hirap, makatabang sa family. Ang uban ang motivation kay para i-prove sa ubang tao or i-prove sa sarili na kaya nila makahuman. Naapoy uban na ang ilang motivation nga magtarong og eskwela kay gipamisan sila sa ilang parents na kung makakuha sila og dako na grades, palitan sila og motor or palitan sila og bagong cellphone. So, lahi-lahi. All of us kay lahi-lahi ang atong motivation nga no ta magtarong og eskwela. Motivation is important for students kay para maganahan sila mo learn genuinely. And as a teacher, we need to understand how a learner is motivated or kung asa gikan ang ilahang motivation, which will be discussed in our next topic, which is the student's diversity in motivation. So, ingon sa book, students' motivation is likely to vary as function of age, culture, gender, socioeconomic background, and special education needs. So, as a teacher in the future, we have to employ different approaches para makahatag og motivation sa tanan nato students. Let us remember the saying, different folks, different strokes. So kung i-apply na siya nga saying sa paghatag og motivation, lahi-lahi nga klase sa tao, lahi-lahi nga strategy sa paghatag og motivation. For example, gamiton nato ang kalahian sa motivation sa students based sa ilahang age. So as a teacher, giving motivation in preschool students versus giving motivation in college students is very different because lahi-lahi kaayo sila og motivation. In teaching college students, the strategy of giving plus points every time mag-recite sila is a very effective strategy in giving them motivation to study to be able to recite and gain the plus points. But you can't employ this strategy to preschool students. Why? Because sa preschool, dili magmatter sa ilaha ang plus points. Wala nakaregister sa ilahang minds na kailangan nila og dagko nga grades. Dili pareha sa college students na ulit og plus points kay gatahirig ang ilahang grado. Ang gusto lang anang mga preschool students kay malingaw sila o makakuha sila og prize every time very good ilahang performance sa klase. So, ang strategy na imuhang gamiton sa preschool students kay to offer prizes to those na mag-participate like small candies or biscuits or school supplies para motivated sila mag-participate o mo-learn. So, lahi kaayo no. Again, students' motivation are diverse, different folks, different strokes. So, as a teacher, we have to employ different strategies to satisfy the different kinds of motivation of our students. So, next, there are two principles in applying the method of motivation. Number one, the students are most likely to model the behaviors they believe are similar to their situation. And number two, students develop greater efficacy for a task when they see others like themselves performing the task successfully. In short, we have to introduce our students to successful people na somehow the same sa ilaha. Like the same nila og economic background, the same nila og mga kaagi, or di kaya the same nila og disability para matagaan ang students og motivation na ay kaya man gani niya, kaya pud nako. So that's it. Let's review. As a teacher, in giving motivation, we have to remember that students' motivation are diverse. Different folks, different strokes. So we have to employ different strategies to satisfy the different kinds of motivation of our learners. And lastly, there are two principles in applying the method of motivation, which explains that exposing our students to models who are in situations similar to them is an effective strategy for motivation.